Hi, my name is Ryan Livergood. I'm the Executive Director of the Warren-Newport Public Library. Welcome to another episode of Library Connections, where we talk about what's not only going on within the Warren-Newport Public Library, but what's going on in the Warren-Newport Public Library community. Today, I have a special guest. It's State Representative Joyce Mason. Joyce represents District 61, which includes Gurnee and Wadsworth, which were in the Warren-Newport Public Library District. So Joyce, welcome to Library Connections. Thanks for joining me today.
Hi, hey Ryan, hey everybody. Thanks for having me.
How are you doing, Joyce? How are things going?
Uh, Going well. As you know, our world is changed dramatically, and it's a little different. But my family and I are safe, and we're working really hard to keep everybody else safe and get the resources that they need. So, as well as can be expected, right? Very
Right.
grateful for
Yeah.
being
It,
healthy. Yeah.
Right, and it's an odd question to ask people, right? Because because how well are any of us doing? And we all have a certain level of stress and anxiety that we're dealing with. We're all dealing with our various issues. So, Joyce, my first question for you is: what are you seeing in the community? What are the biggest needs right now? Um, what are you hearing from your constituents?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when everything shut down in March, obviously we had to pivot pretty quickly, and our district office here had to close along with everything else. But we continued to work remotely, and in fact, I made sure that my staff expanded their hours and actually brought on an extra person. To be able to cover weekends and stuff. So one of the biggest needs that we had was helping people with unemployment. And as you might have seen, unemployment was dramatically overwhelmed. We had more claims than historically ever, I think. So we were able to help, and we're continuing to help literally hundreds of people be able to navigate the system, be able to fix the glitches that they've had, be able to contact them to someone when they spent hours and hours on the phone, waiting to talk to somebody and nobody ever came. So helping with unemployment has been a big thing, answering questions about unemployment. So many people, there are a lot of questions about, do I qualify? What's the federal money? So we've been helping with that. And then also the program that allows independent contractors and temporary workers to get unemployment, which traditionally they wouldn't. So we've been helping a lot with that. But we also, we have been helping with things just across the board. So one of the things that I did is we have been, since it started, calling people in the district, starting with senior citizens, and just calling anybody we had phone numbers for in our records. And we have called a few thousand people to check on them, see how they're doing, see what their needs are. And food has been a big area that people need help with. So connecting them to resources to get food to feed themselves and their families, transportation to testing, answering questions about testing and the testing facilities, healthcare for people who don't have healthcare coverage or weren't sure how to navigate that in the system. Those have all been really big things. We've been trying to help with employment and jobs, although hiring is at, kind of at a low. It's going the other way right now, but trying to connect people to opportunities and resources in that area. So those have been the biggest things. Our phones have been ringing nonstop off the hook, but we've also been reaching out, as I said, to people trying to help with that. And then, as my team is working on all of that, I've been working also behind the scenes on like the emergency legislation that we passed that ensures that insurance companies will pay for remote healthcare visits so people can safely talk with their physicians. That was something that wasn't allowed before, that we were able to pass. Also extending the moratorium on evictions and foreclosures and things of that nature. So, and then working with small businesses. We've been reaching out to small businesses, trying to help them get the funding and the grants and the resources that they need. Really trying hard to keep them from shutting down for good. Helping medical offices and dental offices once they open, getting the PPE that they need, the protective gear. You would think that, well, they should be able to get it, but there was such a shortage.
Right.
And dentists weren't able to order through some of the organizations that supply for the medical community. So we put in our support for dentists to be able to have access to those supplies. So that was, I hope, helpful, because dental care, even though, you think, oh, you can just keep going, it doesn't just stop. It's important too. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Joyce, that's a lot. There's so many things that you and your team at your office they're helping the community with. Is there anything that you didn't mention? Other reasons people might want to call your office? Other ways you can help people? So you mentioned if people are having
Yeah,
issues with unemployment, they can contact your office to get assistance. If they have other
sure.
needs, whether it's questions about COVID-19 testing, transportation, food, are there anything else that you might want people in the community to know they can contact your office if they need help with something?
Yeah. Housing assistance. We can connect people for housing assistance. We have not only been able to advise and connect people to resources regarding foreclosures and evictions, but also, we have people that were already essentially homeless, functionally homeless. So we've been able to assist people in getting housing there. Domestic violence is an epidemic already,
Yeah.
but COVID, it has escalated tremendously. People are under stress. They're trapped in houses together. So we have helped a number of people with resources there. And let's see, there was something else I'm thinking. Every day is something different, really. It really is. We've been, of course, talking with educators and parents about their school concerns, and working with the Illinois Board of Education and the Teachers Federations, trying to make sure that our schools and our students have everything that they need, working on making sure that kids have access to computers and to internet service. We had kids who really wanted to do their e-learning, but had to sit outside closed McDonald's to use their Wi-Fi.
Mm.
Even though they were giving Chromebooks from school, they
Right.
had the ability to use them. So, anything that you can think of that people needed resources and help with, we've just jumped in and been doing it. So it's been really different from what we expected this year to be. But I am super glad that we've been able to be there and help. And, even if someone's not quite sure where to go, you can call us and we'll help you figure it out.
Yeah, there's so much going on, so many issues, and you, Joyce, and your office are doing tremendous work helping people in our community. Speaking of things that are changing, one of the things I want to ask you about was the upcoming election, and the process it is changed. I believe that people will be able to go and vote in person, but we're really encouraging people, particularly in Lake County, to do vote by mail. So can you talk a little bit about that and maybe address some concerns that people have? Because you do hear floated out there that, oh, voting by mail, that will, how will we be able to handle that? Will we get the election results on time? How can we be sure all our votes get counted? That type of thing. So
Yeah,
what can you tell? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So, well, one of the pieces of legislation that we passed allowed for expanded vote by mail. And what that means is that people who have voted in recent elections will automatically be sent an application to vote by mail. And let me explain how the process of vote by mail works. First of all, people think that this is a new thing, And it's not. The state of Illinois has been doing vote by mail for years. Okay. This is not anything new. Some people call them absentee ballots. In some states, you have to provide a reason for why you need an absentee ballot. You know, I'm away at college, I'm at my winter home in Florida or whatever. But in Illinois, you don't. So you can request a vote by mail ballot, and you have been able to. And there are definite safeguards in place to do that. So the first safeguard is that you have to actually fill out an application to request a ballot. Nobody will send you a ballot unless you've requested it. So if you get a ballot in the mail and you haven't requested one, don't fill it out and send it back, because it may not be a real ballot, right?
Right. Yeah, of course.
You're trying to get your vote sent elsewhere.
Mhm.
So you can either fill out the application, a paper one, or you can go online and fill out an application to get a vote by mail, or to request you can go online and request an application that will be sent to you. Okay, so then you fill out the application and you send it in, and then you will get a vote by mail ballot. And you fill out that ballot, you sign it just like you would if you walked up to a polling place to vote, right? So here are your signatures. Every single signature will be compared. And that's their way of safeguarding, just like it is in person. You know, in person, we have voter ID laws where the election judges can't ask you for an ID. And not everybody knows that either. They compare the signatures. It's the way voting's always been done. And it's been shown to have very, very minute level of fraud. So, so it's really the same process. So you fill out your ballot and you mail it in. Now, one of the things I recommend to people is that you do it early, because certainly if everybody's sending in their ballots at the last minute, there's going to be an influx of paper. But before that, you know, the clerk's office will, you know, not release results until everything's been counted. And so that's important. We hope that people will be able to vote in person if they want to. And that option will definitely be available. But my concern is that if COVID gets worse, and, you know, a lot of our election judges are seniors that are volunteering their time. Then we see the long lines, we see people getting frustrated, and we see people, you know, at risk going in to vote. And voting is kind of like the cornerstone of our democracy. Everyone should be able to vote. Everyone should be able to do it safely. And so especially if you're in a high-risk group, or you're worried about standing in line for hours, you're worried about making it to work, request that mail-in ballot. And, you know, if you get that mail-in ballot and you decide when early voting comes along, it's safe for me to go in and early vote, because, you know, now we have locations that open before Election Day where you can go get your vote done. Then go in and cast that vote, and your vote's not going to be counted twice. You'll just throw that ballot in the trash. But have it as a safeguard, have it as a backup, so that you don't give up your right to vote or your opportunity to vote should things go south when Election Day comes around.
Right. And we're, you know, we want to try to be optimistic about COVID-19, but we've seen that, you know, numbers have upticked a little bit in Illinois recently even. So yeah, we it makes sense to be proactive and make it as safe for the voters as possible. So thanks for sharing information on that. And I will say that I went in online to request the ballot, a very easy process. And I'm sure your office can help with that. Our librarians can help with that too if you have questions. So there's help out there if you have more questions about it.
Yeah, good.
Joyce, let's end with one more topic here. Thank you for your time today. There's another big thing that we were really talking about coming into 2020 that might have got lost in the I don't want to say lost in the shuffle, but so many things are going on. But we still have a 2020 census. The 2020 census is important because It determines representation. It determines funding, a lot of federal funding. So can you talk a little bit about the 2020 census and what we need to be doing to make sure that people are counted?
Yeah, absolutely. For those who don't know, a census is required every 10 years in the United States. Okay. And it's a way of counting every single person, no matter who you are, no matter what your circumstances are, counting every single person so that we can have proper representation, proper funding, in your community. So, for example, it determines who represents you. It determines what funding goes to schools, to healthcare, to libraries, on a federal level. Everything on a federal level is determined by that. So, the other thing you need to know is it is completely, absolutely confidential. So, if you are undocumented, if you are maybe you have extra people living in a house that you're not supposed to under your landlord's rules or whatever, it's okay. No information is going to be given out. It's always been confidential. It always will be. So if you are sleeping on different people's couches, maybe you're homeless and you stay at friends' houses, pick one of the addresses and fill it out there. If you are homeless, talk to us or your library or your veterans association or the homeless shelter about how to fill out your census. The important thing is that you get counted. The COVID testing, the funding for the COVID testing, the funding for the healthcare for people affected by COVID, and everything else that we do on a federal level is based off of this. And it's not going to happen again for another 10 years. So I will tell you, you can go online right now. It takes less than 5 minutes to do. Just pound it out. It's really easy. You put in like how many people live there, their names, their birth dates, I think, and you're done. Bam, you're done. It's super easy and it's so incredibly important. And especially now when, great places like our libraries that were kind of leading the charge for the census are closed right now.
Yeah.
We need you to go that extra mile and just do it. Just check it off your list.
Yeah, you're absolutely, Joyce. That's very true. And it's a way that you can help out the community. It's a really easy way to do it. I mean, it's your duty really to fill out the census. So and it's easy to do. So please do that. Joyce,
Yeah,
thanks. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, and if you're not feeling the computer thing, you know what? Call us. We can help you. We will figure out how to help you, even if it's, one of us coming and sitting down with you and walking you through it, socially distanced with masks, whatever. We will help you. I mean, my team goes above and beyond for people every single day. So just let us know what we can do.
All right, Joyce, thank you for your time today. I appreciate it.
You.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of Library Connections. Take care, everybody.
Bye.